Dirty Sprocket Podcast.
All right, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Hip Hop Anonymous. It's been a while. We had Christmas break, holiday break. Fucking
had a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, man. I had to go to my grandpa's funeral, like just last week.
I'm sorry to hear that, man. I didn't know that. My grandmother was in and out of the hospital, and we had the holidays, and I've just started a new job. I've worked all 3 shifts in the past 4 weeks, so my life has been crazy. I've been my sleep schedule and schedule of life in general has been on the fly. So,
oh man, you're glad to say goodbye to fucking 2015 too, I bet.
Oh man, it was the year that I'm very, very happy to say goodbye to, no doubt.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I got a job. They finally got called back, and I start on Monday.
Nice.
Yeah, dude. I get paid every week, which is pretty nice.
So you're gonna be a sucker like the rest of us.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right.
But since we've been gone, we've had quite a few changes with the podcast and stuff like that. We have a Patreon now, so you guys, you like what you hear. There'll be a link in the description here. You can go and you can support us on Patreon. I'm working on a reward system there where if you donate like 75 or 50 or 75 bucks, I'm not sure which yet, but I can get a T-shirt printed for you. So I'll get that all set up on the Patreon account. But otherwise, we have monthly donation packages where you can just you can give $1 a month if you want, just anything that helps us out, it helps us pay for fucking all the bullshit that you got to pay for to keep a podcast going, SoundCloud fees, cables, microphones, things like that. So that all that helps. So please support us and become a patron on Patreon. And subscribe on iTunes. I think as of the last episode, we were on iTunes, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Right on. So yeah, now we're finally getting things in motion. I think this is going to be a good year for the Millennials Podcast Network. This is going to be our year to quit our jobs.
Well, I'm ready to do that whenever, man.
Hey,
if people will pay me to talk. Oh my goodness!
Hey man, you account for 1/8 of the content on the network, so anything we get on Patreon, you're technically entitled to 1/8 of that as a content creator.
Well, look at me.
I know, right?
I'm entrepreneurial.
I know, right? You didn't even have to do anything,
and I was not even aware.
All you had to do was have you just had to have a smartphone and Skype.
Yeah.
And ears and listen to some hip hop.
Well, good for me. All those years of listening, it pays off now.
Fucking A, man. This is our highest volume show too right now, actually.
As far as what? I don't
know. Play counts and subscriptions.
Oh, as far as the millennials.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the most popular show on the network. So.
Well, look at me.
I know, right? People just love you, John.
John's got something that people like. I don't know. I'm just happy. You know what? Like I said, if people want to listen to me talk, I will talk all day long, son. There's nothing I would rather do.
Fucking A, man. All right, let's get this kicked off. You got a game to watch tonight, so.
I absolutely do.
Right on. How do you feel about actually you realize you get a time travel every time you do a podcast, right?
Yeah.
You're being recorded in the past.
That's pretty incredible.
You're like the Doctor Who of hip hop.
I'm not gonna say that Thomas Edison is my bitch, but
Fucking A. Well, yeah. This week we had a pretty cool rewind idea. Usually for our rewind we go 20 years in the past or we go 10 years in the past. And this time we were like, why not go both? Because it turns out 20 years ago, or well, now it's 20 years in 1 month. 20 years in 1 month ish. The Far Side came out with Lab Cab in California. And then 10 years ago and 1 month ish, Fat Lip from the Far Side came out with The Loneliest Punk, his first solo album. So I thought that was pretty fitting to see the progression of Fat Lip from Far Side's album in 95 to Fat Lip's album in 2005.
Yeah.
So start off with fucking bullshit.
Far Side.
Let's start off with some bullshit. Yeah.
And then we'll get into the Fat Lip album.
Yeah.
Starting off.
Start with some bullshit.
Talking about Far Side. I think the groundbreaking thing about Far Side was they were the first West Coast hip hop group or artist that embraced the East Coast sound and kind of ran with it. And it enabled them to get into markets that they probably, or other artists probably would not have been able to get into. They were not. That's not to say that traditional hip hop was not going on. Jurassic 5 was going on at the same time. Man, so many other West Coast artists that were doing traditional hip hop, as opposed to the West Coast sound of Dr. Dre and Snoop at the time. Were going on, but Pharcyde were the first ones to actually make a name for themselves while doing what was basically East Coast hip hop with a West Coast flavor.
Yeah, I kind of I noticed looking at if you just Google like hip hop releases 1995, it's the longest list that I've seen. Like 2005 is a pretty long list too, but they consider
so many albums came out in 95. That was the like pinnacle of hip hop, I think.
Yeah. I mean, because like if you look at 2005, I mean, Google considers a lot of bullshit to be hip hop, and most of it's just pop. But like the list for 2005 for 10 years later is like a quarter of what it was in 95. I mean, it was, and look at the list of names too. A lot of West Coast names on there too.
Right.
And I think that they were kind of a good crossover really in that aspect, because I mean there always have been and always will be people who are fans of and loyalists to certain sounds like the West Coast specific sounds. The East Coast sounds, and they were able to, kind of dig from both wells there by getting in. You get your West Coast fans and you get some East Coast fans in that sense.
Yeah, and I think they established that with their first release, with "Passing Me By" becoming a kind of a breakout hit. It let everybody know who they were, and then they were also able to capitalize on that. And so with Lab Cab in California, when they went into it, they decided, we've already established who we are. People are going to accept us for what we're doing, because what they were doing was a little bit off of the norm, and people liked it. I mean, "Passing Me By," I mean, that's a classic track. I love that song to the death of me. And when you go to the next album, Lab Cab in California, they sat there and they said, okay, now it's time for us to make our own niche, our own spot in the game. Let's do it. and they went all out. They had Capitol Records was at the time a very prominent hip hop label, and they put a lot of effort and money behind all the stuff that they were putting out. So they had plenty of resources available to them to make the album that they wanted to make, and this album completely represented everything that they wanted to be represented.
Yeah, I think that definitely makes them the standout group from the long list of releases from '95. Like Lab is just like I said, like when we started off, I was like, let's talk some bullshit. Opening track, man. Opening track bullshit
Right.
is like it's some of the realest shit that I've heard from like since we started this podcast. You know, I've had to dig back and listen a little more critically than I usually would. And, you know, I've found that some stuff that I used to like, I don't really like at all anymore because it's just like, it's bullshit. And this track addresses that. And I was like, man, I like Farside way more than I thought I did after listening just for this episode, going back and checking it out again.
I think I was kind of the opposite. I've always said I was a Farside fan, and then listening to I've been listening to their albums pretty much on a constant rotation the past month, and I thought, you know, I don't like them as much as I thought I did. Like, I think it was a cool thing to say. It was kind of like if you were a flannel wearing greasy haired guy saying you were a Nirvana fan back in the day. You know what I mean? Like, that was a cool thing to say. You didn't know anything about Kurt Cobain or what the fuck he was talking about, but yeah, you love Nirvana. You know what I mean? So I think it was cool to say, like, oh man, I love Farside, because that was like on the outer edge. And it was, I guess at that time, a little bit underground, so you could kind of, you know, the music elitist in you would say, yeah, I'm a Farside. You like Farside? I like Farside. I like the Farside. But man, listening to them, I realized I don't like them as much as I thought I did. So I guess it works out both ways.
See, and I'm more of a content guy. You know, like that's I don't give a shit about the name. I care about what they're talking about, you know, and like, you know, I used to hold up like Rhyme Sayers and Def Jux as like these are the standards that my clients need to adhere to. They need to adhere to this standard of this level of honesty and this level of fun too. I mean, like,
right.
A lot of,
and that is one thing I appreciate about the Farside. Kind of like when we were having our conversations about Goody Mob not too long ago, we were talking about how they didn't take themselves too seriously, and you could tell that the Farside were definitely they were having fun, man. They were making music. They enjoyed making music.
Yeah, and
they were having a good time doing it, and they did not take themselves too seriously. And I guess you look at the juxtaposition of West Coast music at that time. I mean, you have the guys on the other side are, you know, Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg, who are shooting people. Murder Was the Case that they gave me. Yeah. So, you know, to be able to take a step back and say, because this, like I said, this is their sophomore album. They consciously they consciously made a decision to have a little fun with it. And that's not to say that they ever were
super serious or anything. They never were really that.
Right.
Kinda, I mean,
they were not soft either. You know, like a lot of people, they actually, Fat Lip is, I mean, he's a grimy dude. If you actually get into his content, he talks about some real shit, and he always had. And I think that was what made him stand out amongst the other members of Farside, because it wasn't his voice was not the most recognizable. It was his content that stood out more so than the other members of the group.
Yeah. That's one thing when we get onto Loneliest Punk is I think that his talent comes mostly from his writing, and it's not that he has any kind of particularly standout kind of style. Really, he's kind of an everyman. Which is admirable. You know, kind of like like it's funny because we were gonna have Kendrick Lamar for our spotlight, and we I switched it over because we got confused. We thought it was Atmosphere. So I was like, all right, yeah, we can do Atmosphere. That works great. And it actually fits really well because Slug's kind of a similar kind of personality there. You know, he's a Midwestern everyman. You know,
I think if I were to find a parallel artist with Fat Lip, if I had to put somebody like, who would you compare Fat Lip to? I would say Merce.
If you look at coming from the West Coast with a bit of an East Coast style, definitely.
And they're both people that will talk about the environment that they grew up in, but will both adamantly say, I was never in a gang. You know, they didn't actively participate.
Yeah.
You know, both of them are very adamant about that. So they're very similar in that circumstance or whatever I'm trying to say. I don't know, whatever word I'm looking for.
Yeah. Well, and we talked about it in our pilot episode on Millennials with the video that Merce just came out with, a couple months back. Like even today, after he's gone through a lot of changes with labels, like Def Jux went away, and he was working with he was doing Felt with Slug on Rhymesayers for a while, and they haven't put out anything in a while. I hope they do soon. That'd be fucking great. But now he's with Strange Music, and through all those changes, you'd think that there'd be some sort of stylistic change that would come with it because of the differences between all those different companies. But no, man, he's kind of maintained his sense of self. You know,
he's a guy that's definitely comfortable in his own skin. He knows who he is.
Yeah.
He wears it proudly. He knows what he's doing, and he's not apologetic about it. And you get what you see is what you get, and you have to, I guess, in an artist, there's nothing more you could ask for.
Yeah, and that's what we get from Merce, you know, and I mean, a lot of people who would be fans today of something like that, or a bit younger, which it is kind of it's people my age mostly. They can find something very, very similar in that effect if they listen to like Far Side and Fat Lip and shit.
Yeah, so let's talk about the Fat Lip album now. Did you? I'll be honest with you. When it first came out, I couldn't wait to listen to it, and I was not a fan of it then, and I'm not really a big fan of it now, and I'll give you the reason for it. The reason for it is, as an artist, I definitely have a lot of respect for him and his talent, but he had an opportunity to make a solo album as a member of a group to make himself stand out, to make a footprint. And instead, what he did is he tried to do everything. Instead of establishing who he was, he tried to be everybody, and it didn't work. The album has no continuity. There's no theme. It jumps around. He can't decide if he wants to be this dude. He can't decide if he wants to be that dude. And it's just it has no, like, it to me it feels like a mixtape. It never felt like an album, and I was so disappointed in it then. And maybe I'm just I'm still bitter because I expected so much more back in the day. When I was waiting for it to come out, and but just listening to it this past month, it just reminded me so much that, like, he had the perfect opportunity to set himself up and establish himself, and to tell the world who he was. And instead, he wanted to wear 20 different hats.
Yeah. Well, here's the interesting thing with that is if this would have been his first appearance ever, if there never was Far Side, if this was his very first appearance, people would be looking back on it as, well, this is like a showcase. This is a demonstration of versatility. Mm-hmm. But because it's just his first solo venture, coming off of multiple Far Side albums, it's like, no, dude, you've been around long enough now that you people already have ideas in their head of what you should be doing. There's a certain level of quality that you should be hitting with your first solo album.
As an artist, there's nothing more than as a fan or as somebody that appreciates art. There's nothing you want more than to accept the artist, and you will accept the artist for whoever he is.
Yeah.
But they have to at least tell you what they're doing and give you something to grasp onto. You can't just throw some stuff out there and hope something sticks and then expect people to say, "Oh, you are an artist." You can't. You have to have an identity. And I think he never really was able to find that. And maybe that's why he was in a group in the first place. Maybe his role in music was not to be a solo artist.
Yeah, I think that's where his talent has been showcased the most, really, has been through being with other people.
Yeah.
I think he's more of a team player.
And there's nothing wrong with that at all. I think there are some people that thrive in the solo, like just being by themselves, having all the pressure on them, the spotlight on them. There's some people that excel in a group environment. There's some people that need the team around them. They're better if they can bounce ideas off of other people, and they sharpen their verses by listening to other people's verses and saying, "Oh man, maybe my stuff was not as good as I thought it was after I heard that, and I need to go back and fix mine." You know what I'm saying? But everybody's different. There's nothing wrong with it, but I think he didn't need to put a solo album out. It was completely unnecessary. I wanted it so badly because, as I keep on saying, I was a Far Side fan. Passing Me By was like my song, man. Like, because that's how I felt. I was the nice guy, and I never got the girl, so that was like my theme song when I was that age. And so, like, from that point on, I'm like, I'm gonna ride with Far Side to the death. So anything that they did, I wanted to pick up, and I waited for that album to come out, and then it just wasn't necessary. Didn't need it. I will say I want to point out a couple things. Number one, the coolest thing I think was that when they put the second album out and they decided to do the music videos, they wanted to make a statement with those videos. If you remember, they did the drop video. It was shot in reverse.
Yeah.
With the Beastie
Spike
Boys.
Jones, wasn't it? Was it Spike
Yes.
Jones directed that?
Yeah.
Yeah. He also directed the first single off of Fat Lips, off of Loneliest Punk. They did the What's Up Fat Lip video too.
Yeah. So
Spike Jones did that.
They were very much into the medium of music video. The Running video was very controversial because it all the members of the Far Side were playing characters of plantation workers, and all the white people were slaves. And they were walking around, they were riding around on their horses and whipping the white people that weren't working hard enough picking the cotton. And so it was a very controversial a video. I'm sorry.
You know what's funny is like today, even like that would go by with like there'd be it would be overlooked today.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, even though we have this racially charged environment right now, where all the white supremacists would normally be up in arms about it, they wouldn't even catch it today.
Yeah, and I believe that if I remember correctly, like there was a disclaimer either before or after it, after the video, like just be like, this is fiction. Obviously, it's fiction, dumbass. Like, you know what I mean? But like they felt like it was so controversial, like they felt like they had to address the elephant in the room by saying, like, yeah, we know that this is racism, and making a political statement. I don't know.
That's because that was back in the 90s when we all pretended racism was gone.
Right, yeah, we were Benetton ads, right?
Yeah. We all just pretended racism didn't exist because elementary schools were finally teaching kids to be accepting of other people. All it meant was that we were potentially raising a generation of kids that might not be as racist as the previous generation. But that turned out to kind of bite itself in the ass because look where we are today.
It's just not it's not realistic, you know.
Yeah,
you can't fix something by looking away from it. I'm gonna tell you that right now. If your engine is not running, you can't like look in the trunk while you're trying to fix your engine. All right?
I know, right? Yeah. Oh shit, man. Yeah, that's that is pretty funny. Like, I don't know. I wish that Fat Lip would have continued on with that kind of like even if the album stayed the same, if Loneliest Punk was still done the same way, if he had stuck on that same kind of level as what they were doing back in the 90s, like I think that my perception of the Loneliest Punk would have been a little more standout, you know?
Yeah, I think so too.
Instead, it comes off as it's a collection of good songs, but they're not like you're right. It feels very disconnected, and it feels like a hodgepodge a little bit.
Yeah. So for the our unsung hero,
Yeah.
we're doing Big L, and that's I gotta say hello real quick to my man Rick, who is the person that turned me on to Big L. I had never heard of Big L before I met him. He turned me on to him, and I remember the first time I heard Big L, I was riding in his car, and he had the Lifestyles of the Poor and Dangerous CD playing, and I said, "Who is this?" And he was telling me about him. I was like, "Does he have any new stuff?" "Oh no, man, he's
dead."
Oh, what?
Yeah.
You know, so I mean that completely just threw me for a loop. And I'm not gonna pretend that I'm the biggest Big L fan in the world, because there are some people that are diehard, like he's the best rapper to ever do it. If he would have done this, he would have done that. If he would have lived. But I will tell you this, man, there is no MC out there right now that is at the top that was not influenced by him in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I was unfamiliar with Big L when you brought him up for the Unsung Heroes, and I was like, well, that's perfect for the Unsung Heroes portion because I don't know who the fuck he is. So he's definitely unsung. So I listened to Lifestyles of the Poor and Dangerous, and I gotta say, I was surprised that I'd never heard this shit before.
Yeah, it's a remarkable album. And the thing that blows me away is that the song that he is probably most known for is the song Ebonics, which is not actually on that album. And so when people say, what's a Big L song I should listen to? And you say, have you heard of Ebonics? And they'll say, oh, okay, I'll check that out. Well, what album? Well, it's not on that album.
Yeah.
So it's confusing. He was somebody that put so much effort into his craft. He took time. He wrote just like a madman, and took it so seriously, and it showed. And he didn't do it for fun. To him, it was blood sport. So
Yeah.
when anything that he recorded, he went out there to just murder it, and he did. And it's sad that we don't have more of his recordings to listen to. But I will tell you, there are a lot of people that came from the borough of Harlem that would not have popped off and probably made its prominence if it wasn't for him. People that, if you remember Mace.
Yeah, I remember Mace.
Remember Cameron. These are people that Big L, in not only whenever he would do a show, he would put them on, say, "Come on, guys, like we're going to do this." Like these are people that had music careers because of him. Also, one of the biggest accolades that you could give him, he was part of the world famous Digging in the Crates crew. That was an elite group of people. And if you were down with it, and they took him in, I mean, they were already established, and they heard him and they're like, hey, we want some of that. So for him to be able to do that and pull that off, and to have those people that were already superstars and already like at the top of the game, to bring him in and to mentor him and to give him all the support that he had gotten, you know that he was special. Yeah. And so I think it's if you're listening to this and you've never listened to Big L, go and look him up and listen to it. And don't just listen to it, listen to it. Because he was so far ahead of his time, it's ridiculous. So far ahead of his time.
Yeah, I've got Put It On playing in my headphones right now, and like just the like, you know, I'm a sucker for that minimalistic 90s production,
right?
Like, fuck, man. it just screams 90s hip hop, like, and it has, but not in that kitschy fucking way, you know. It's right. Like there's a goddamn jazz xylophone solo in this shit that plays in the background. It's like, it's just loosest fucking like drunken drop the mallets where they land kind of fucking shit. And it's just like that with the like the lyrics over the top of something like that is the coolest juxtaposition. That you don't hear that shit anymore. You don't. You get. I don't know. I find that I've been pretty dissatisfied lately. I've been listening to some more recent shit lately to try to see what I can find for future podcasts, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, most of this is fucking garbage.
Yeah.
I feel like
that's the reality of most music and most eras. I mean, good music, you have to sift through the bullshit to find good stuff. You always have to.
Yeah. It's just weird because like in almost every other genre of music today, you know, it's not hard to find good stuff except for hip hop. It's so fucking hard to find good hip hop.
I think it just depends on where you look, man. I don't have any problem finding it, but I understand what you're saying. Yeah. You do have to seek it out a lot more. It's definitely not the difference in I guess most genres showcase their best. Hip hop tends to showcase their worst, and I don't understand it. They will the guys that are the worst representation possible are the ones that are in prominence. Those are the ones that are out there
getting commercials and all that, you know, getting endorsements, being on TV. You know, it doesn't make any sense. Any other genre, you know, you want the cream of the crop.
Yeah.
Hip hop is like, all right, we'll give you a Future, and you can have Little B, and you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, and we're gonna keep the good stuff to ourselves because we don't want you to steal it.
Yeah.
And that's how they act. So yeah, it is ridiculous, and it's funny. It's funny to think of it. You're very right on that. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I would like to say,
well, and then even today, like, you know, what's considered to be like some of the really good shit that it's easier to find and more accessible, and some people are like, oh man, he's a genius. It's people like Tyler the Creator, and I'm like, that's just fucking millennial bullshit.
I love Tyler the Creator.
I can't fucking stand the dude.
Love him.
I mean, it's like he's a goddamn circus clown. Like, I'm like, dude, you're cooning. You're fucking cooning is what you're doing.
Oh man, you know, okay, this is a good place to start. Way before there was a Slim Shady, there was a Big L.
Yeah.
And way before there was a Tyler the Creator, there was a Slim Shady. So
yeah, it's that progression. It's the fucking things only get worse. Big L said a lot of things just to get a reaction, just to get that pop from the crowd, just to get that oh no, he did not just say that. And he would do that on purpose, obviously, but that was kind of his thing. And I don't know this for sure. Nobody can be certain, but I think if we were to go and make American history so that there never was a Big L, I don't think that we would have had an Eminem. I don't think that he would have had the balls to be that guy. I think he stole his whole, I wouldn't say stole it, but he shaped his whole. He saw that someone else was doing it out there, so he knew it could be done, and he gained some confidence from that.
Thank you. And he took it, and he thought, I can be witty and outlandish too. If you're clever enough, you can say sick shit.
Yeah.
So if you just go out there and spit, you know, some off the wall, just heinous shit, people are going to be turned off. No, but if you can be clever about it, people are like, I see what you did there. You know? And I don't think that there would have been a Slim Shady if there wouldn't have been a Big L. And there certainly would not have been a Tyler the Creator if there hadn't have been a Slim Shady.
Yeah. So it's weird. You know, like listening to Big L. I'm glad that I fucking found out that this existed. But now you're making me to hate him a little bit because he's partially responsible for Tyler the Creator. I'm just like, it's like that from Get Him to the Greek. He's like, I have respect for you, but then there's this thin veneer of hate. So it's respect, but peppered with hate. But yeah, if you guys should check out, go on YouTube and look up Big L Ebonics. Check that out. And Lifestyles of the Poor and Dangerous is on Spotify. I got a Spotify playlist for the episode that you guys can listen to, so you can check that out there. For our recent releases, this one, I was surprised. I was surprised that I actually liked this one.
Really?
Yeah.
Because it was an artist that you didn't like previously, or?
It was an artist that I didn't have any. I never heard any Jadakiss that I was over the moon about.
Right.
I never hated Jadakiss, but I was like, I could do without it. I didn't need it. But this album, I was actually, I was like, this is fucking pretty good shit. Especially like like what got me in is the skit on the like right there at the beginning of the album, the Shop Talk skit.
Yeah,
That shit was that was just good.
it was classic, right?
Yeah, I mean, it reminded me of because there's a lot of artists that they overuse this, where they'll have these little 2-minute interstitials in between, and it's mostly it almost feels like they feel the need to do it, and none of it's ever it's not funny, and it's not fucking it's not clever or anything like that. But this was a throwback to like the origin of that, you know. It just reminded me of it because there's only just the one in there, and I think there's just one on there, isn't there?
I believe so.
Or no, there's another one. There's a couple other ones later in the.
Are you talking about
album.
skits?
Yeah, there's a couple other ones later in the album.
They're throughout. Yeah.
But they're not all over the album. Like some of these artists will throw that shit in there like every couple of tracks. There's a fucking skit, and you know, like some of them do it really well and it's hilarious. But other ones, it halts the progression of the album to me. I can't fucking stand it when they do it. But this was used sparingly. It looks like overall there's like 3 skits in here. But the first one, they pop it right in there right after the intro, and it's just fucking. It's great. It set the tone for the album a bit, and I was like, all right, this is actually pretty good for something and it just came out this year.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, this is an album that you guys should like. I recommend paying for it. You should buy this album.
It's I think that obviously it's called Top 5 Dead or Alive. He puts himself in that category. He's always considered himself one of the elite MCs in the game.
But it comes off kind of funny though. It feels almost like he's laughing at himself a bit.
Yeah,
you know?
I don't think that he's taking himself real serious about it. But at the same time, I think that he is also letting you know, like, if you want to test me, I'll back it up. You know?
Yeah. But it was a modern fun album. Like that's just so fucking rare. It's like the last week's recent release and the week before that, it was all some serious shit. Always just like, you know, the last week's or last episode's was more. At least it was so serious because it was addressing current issues and current affairs and shit.
Right.
But like I was like, all right, they can make fun shit today. It is doable.
Yeah.
and it's fucking great, you know. But you know, it takes someone who is, you know, someone who's a throwback to do it, to come and remind these.
Been making music for so long.
Yeah.
He's definitely a pro at making music, but also, being a member of the Locks, they have their own studio. They own. It's called D Block Studio, and I mean, they're in there. They have the freedom to record whatever they want, whenever they want.
Yeah.
So you can and you can, if you listen to any of Sheik Luch's albums, I mean, you can hear it, the freedom in the music they make. You can tell they're not tied down. They're not tethered. They're having fun. They're making the music that they want to listen to. They're making the music that they're making it. And let's be honest. Nobody under the age of 18 is buying Jadakiss.
No.
So
I don't think very many people under 30 are buying it.
No, you're probably correct on that as well. But my point, they know they have a certain demographic to they have this fan base that is going to buy this music. So let's make that music for those people, and you can tell, and it's enjoyable it's fun to listen to somebody have fun.
Yeah. See, this is the kind of shit that artists like Tyler, the Creator, should be taking hints from this. You know, if they want to be, because you can tell with some of these fucking newer, younger artists that they're forcing it. They're fucking forcing it hard, and it's like, okay, that's fine if that's who you are. If you're not you, well, then at least be a fake version of something good. You know.
Yeah, but that's not to say that Jadakiss wasn't that same person 25 years ago. I mean, everybody goes the progression.
Well, yeah, like I said, I was
Tyler, the creator. His whole thing is teen angst. I mean, come on, he's not gonna relax. I mean, that's not his deal.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you're just picking on the guy to pick on him now.
Oh yeah, I just really I severely dislike the guy, and this is the podcast for me to be able to talk about it.
There you go, vent, brother.
But
it's all out.
But like I said, I was never really over the moon about any of the previous releases from Jadakiss, you know.
I wasn't either.
But I mean, like, and I fucking can't stand Lil Wayne. I'm neither here nor there about Akon, but even their appearances on this album weren't something that made me go like cringe and shit, you know.
Right.
So I mean, it was an enjoyable experience, which is just so odd for me anymore to listen to a hip hop album that just came out. That's not someone that I already follow, you know, because usually I'm mildly disappointed with every album that comes out lately, except for Run the Jewels. I've Run the Jewels was great. Run the Jewels 2 was awesome. Meow the Jewels was fucking awesome. You know, they just get better and better. So, you know, I'm just waiting for them to put out an album that disappoints me slightly. You know,
I would say I would love to hear LP and Killer Mike do an album on somebody else's production.
You know,
I don't stand LP's beats. Cannot stand them.
Oh, dude, I loved it, man. I love because he's I prefer LP's older shit, actually. His older production style. It's a little more. It reminds me of new wave a bit, you know. It's a little more lo-fi. It's there's a lot of like hardware gritty delays and shit in there. That's just like I dig the sound. But the newer shit, what he's doing now, I'm not disappointed with. I actually I like it, and I see why. I mean, it is a little bit more consumer friendly, the way that shit is going now with it, and that's fine. Yeah. Mike got me Run the Jewels 1 and 2 on vinyl for Christmas.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, I gotta pop it on, and it's not just a vinyl transfer, or it's not just a vinyl version of the CD either, or of the digital copy. It's mastered for vinyl, so it has dynamics in it. It has fucking dynamics in it, man, which is great. So it gives the beat that much more definition. I love the production on that shit. But you know, I think they should keep doing what they're doing until it stops working, basically. You know. But,
I don't think. Well, I'm not a fan of LP ever. I've never liked him. I don't like anything about him. But Killer Mike, I love all day long, and I always have. So it's a bittersweet thing for me. I am tolerant of LP simply because Killer Mike is also on there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't like LP beats. They drive me crazy. He's a pretentious asshole. Who he thinks way too highly of himself, and he thinks that everybody else should think that highly of him. He's a fucking douchebag.
You gotta remember, dude. LP built he built an empire, like.
It depends on what your definition of an empire
through cooperation. You know, like he basically he found artists that were great, and he didn't try to make them into something different. He let them do what they were gonna do, and now all of those artists are they're doing just fine.
All right,
even after the company went broke.
I'm not a fan of Aesop Rock. I'm not a fan of Cannibal Ox. I do like RJD2.
Mr. Liff.
I'm not a fan of Mr. Liff.
Oh man.
But
But the dude put Cage out, and so for that, I give him all the respect in the world because nobody else,
No one would
willing to
touch
deal
him.
with him.
No
Yeah.
one would touch him because of his fucking drug problems and shit.
Yeah, and so if it wasn't for LP, I never would have had that. So I thank him for that, and I guess I can tolerate him just enough because of that. But LP, yeah, he can suck a dick. I don't like that guy.
I think his bravado is earned at this point, but
I don't know, man. It's like it's
not like a lot of these other people that they built their empire off the back of an existing empire, you know. And it's like
It wasn't an empire, dude. It was he ran a record label out of an apartment. That's not an empire. Get the fuck out of here.
no, dude. Most people, dude. I run a record label out of an apartment. How many releases do I have? 3. Like, come on, man. If you can run a label out of an apartment where you have touring artists, you made something out of nothing. Like every other, you know how hard it is to get a label where you can actually get things moving. It's fucking difficult, man. Like, a label comes from existing money.
If you had people with that much talent knocking on your door saying, "Hey, Jerry, let's record an album today," you would be doing the same shit that he's doing. Come on, man.
No, dude. No, it's not that. It's not that easy. It is not that easy. Getting a label going takes it's built off of having money already. It's built off of an existing empire, is what it is. The music industry came from money in the first place, and without that, it's very difficult to be able to even carve out a space for yourself. And he was able to do that. He carved out a fucking space for himself. I mean, like some of the best artists out there today come from that ethos and from what he did, you know. And now he gets to kind of have a little vacation, you know. He's
definitely having fun with the music.
You know, he's just kind of doing whatever he wants now,
yeah. They're making. I appreciate the political music that they're making because there's definitely been an absence of that. There's been an abyss when it comes to let's be culturally relevant.
Yeah, without being too heavy-handed as well, too.
Yes.
You know,
and I'm glad that somebody is stepping up and taking charge of that. And if it has to be him, then it has to be him. But at least somebody's doing it.
Oh yeah, and he got Merce up and running too. I mean, like, dude was fucking homeless. Merce was homeless until he was working with Def Jux. So remember that. Merce lives in a house because of LP.
Well, good for them.
So it's like, yeah, I don't know, man. I love rags to riches stories, you know.
I do too. I'm a big fan of the underdog.
Well, especially in a time where, like, you can't do that kind of shit anymore. Hard work. There's this myth that somehow hard work reaps reward, and it doesn't.
Not all.
Reward is completely random. Mm-hmm. Because if hard work actually reaped reward, everyone would be fucking rich, or at least the majority of the people in this country would be fucking rich. But they're not
willing to work hard.
They're not, and there's most of us in this country work hard, and we have nothing to show for it. Which all that goes to show is that fucking hard work doesn't get you anything. It's just random chance that gets you shit.
Well, random chance and hard work.
Well, yeah, it's the probability of it.
It does take. I mean, hard work is a part of it.
You do have to be a hard worker to get something. Yes, hard work is required, but that reward isn't guaranteed. In fact, that reward, the probability of actually getting that reward is so slim that there's almost no point to working hard. There's actually, you know, because you're more than likely going to be fucked at the end of the day. So to see someone actually get something out of it is fucking awesome. Because, like, you know, it's a win for all of us at that point.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what's cool about that. But, like, you know, it's hard to find. It's hard to find fucking anything today that's put out that that you feel like you're going to listen to 10 years down the road and even give a shit about it, you know?
I don't ever look at music that way though. You know, like I don't think I've ever listened to something the first time and thought, I'm going to listen to this in 10 years. Do you do that? I don't do that. I don't know.
Well, no, but I mean, like, there's here's the thing: is there's music that I listened to 10 years ago that I still listen to today.
No, there's music
you know,
you obviously know. Like, I am not going to listen to. Once this song has played its course or run its course, I am never going to listen to it again. You know that. But I've never heard a song and thought, I'm going to be listening to this in 20 years.
I don't know. I do anymore just because I notice that there's stuff that I still listen to. Yeah, that I have been listening to forever. And there's stuff that I listened to 10 years ago that I'm just like, I don't like, dude, I can't stand the Foo Fighters today. You know? I'm just like, they fucking peaked like 7 albums ago.
Let me throw this at you. All right. You're talking about the Foo Fighters?
Yeah.
I think we have seriously underestimated Foo because we sent these 3 guys to fight them, and apparently 15 years later, we have not made any progress. Am I right?
God.
Like, we need to send more dudes because Dave Grohl is not getting it done. I don't.
Yeah, well, no, it's weird. We did send more dudes. Because check this out. It started out with just Dave Grohl, right? And then after that, it was he got
Taylor Hayes,
Taylor Hawkins,
there you go.
Taylor Hawkins, the bass player, and then Pat Smear. Then Pat Smear left, and he got Chris Shiflett. And then like about 4 or 5 years ago, Pat Smear came back. So they've got like fucking 5 people now. And I thought
maybe it's not the number of dudes, it's the dudes that we're sending that's the problem.
Yeah, they were always better as a 4-piece, and every time that there was every time that there was a change, it would get they'd kind of go back to basics a little bit, but it would always be a little bit less than what it was before, and then like basically. It started to get worse and worse, and then Pat Smear came back, and the same thing happened again. They kind of went back to basics, but it was less than what it was. So now it's just nothing. It's elevator music.
Regardless, we should have who's asked by now.
But I don't know. Listening to,
I don't think you're concerned enough about the Foo.
I'm not. I'm just not. I think the Foo is like is the 90s equivalent of terrorism. It's just an idea that they're trying to get us to focus on.
It's you know, it's a distraction.
The war on Foo is like the war on terror. It's an imaginary war.
It's not real.
The Foo is not real.
Okay.
Now, well, imagine how this conversation would go if the band was called the Clit Fighters.
I'm the Clit Commander.
Oh, the clit is real. The female orgasm, that's the myth. Am I right, guys? Am I right? Oh, my God. All right. But yeah, man, I mean, listening to this Jada Kiss album, man, is like... It's one of those albums where I don't feel like it's something that I'm going to give a shit about in even in a week. But it was still like it's
enjoyable listening.
It's like you know how when you were a kid you used to eat candy all the time, and now like every once in a while you might have some candy just to be like, oh yeah, this is why I don't eat candy. It's like a Snickers bar. This album was like a Snickers bar. It was it's like, oh yeah, this is enjoyable, but like, you know, I'm not gonna have it all the time because I'll fucking die. You know,
right?
But
good analogy.
Yeah, it was kind of like that.
I honestly, I picked the album because there wasn't anything else that was coming out at that time, so that was the only thing that came out. So that's why I picked it. But I did enjoy listening to it, so I'm glad. I'm glad that we did pick it, and it is worth a listen.
It was a surprise. It was a surprise goodie. So, yeah.
If you're ever, if you're a fan of the Locks, check it out, of course. And anybody that's a fan of Jadakiss will not be disappointed. People that are a fan of Fetty Wap or Future will probably be disappointed. No auto tune. Sorry.
No, and it's so much better for it too that there's no fucking auto tune.
not one bar auto tune. I don't know what to tell you.
I despise the overuse of it, or the inappropriate use of it. But yeah, it's a good one. You guys go to an actual fucking music store and buy a copy of this. Don't get the digital, even though the digital is probably like $10 on iTunes, but. We just lost our fucking music store in town here because no one was fucking buying shit.
Yeah, that sucks, man.
So support your music stores and fucking go buy this album there. I'm sure it'll cost like $12
or 17
or 17.
Yeah, 17.
It's probably closer to like 17 or $20 actually.
You know what? They want people to buy more CDs, so what do? Raise the price of them. How does that work?
Yeah, I don't know, man. But well, here
CDs they're only $3.
If there's a vinyl release of this, buy it on vinyl because it's probably only like $20, which is cheap for vinyl.
Out.
So there you go. Get it on vinyl. Yeah, for our spotlight, we got Atmosphere. We got Atmosphere, guys.
And this is a very appropriate thing because Rhymesayers Entertainment just celebrated their 20th anniversary.
Yeah.
We have had 20 years of Atmosphere. And Slug and Ant.
Rock the Bells. Fucking annual festival.
I got to get to one of those, man.
Oh, man. That would be so great, man. Just watching the fucking DVDs of that is just like, you're just like, oh man, that seems like more fun than I should ever be allowed to have. Right? You know,
I've never music festival. That's like I got to do that, man.
Well, and I watched one where it was before Idea died. Watching Idea and Abilities at Rock the Bells was just fucking, that was so cool. That was just awesome to see.
So are you, I guess we should, since he is the spotlight artist,
yeah,
spotlight him.
Slug.
Atmosphere, a group from Minneapolis, Minnesota, comprised of Ant, who does the production, and Slug, who is the MC. They've been putting out albums for 20 years.
Yeah.
And not only that, in the process, they've also introduced America to a lot of great underground hip hop that probably never would have been heard otherwise. One of my favorite artists, POS.
Oh, God, yeah.
I can't say enough good things about POS. Maybe someday we'll highlight him, but I think if I have to give Atmosphere, like, what is Atmosphere known for? I think that was the first time anybody ever used the phrase emo rap. And
yeah.
I think that's the first time I ever heard it was associated with Atmosphere.
Which is odd because I think Cecil Otter is way more emo than Atmosphere is.
Yeah, but he wasn't out before Atmosphere was.
No, he came. Well, he came up from Rhymesayers though.
True.
So
no, Cecil Otter came from Doomtree, which is like
wasn't Doomtree on Rhymesayers for a while?
Yes. What I'm saying is like it's a separate entity though.
Yeah. Well, did like, POS came out of Doomtree too, didn't he?
Huh?
Didn't POS come out of Doomtree as well?
Yeah, POS is Doomtree. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know, man. It was always I always thought of it as more. It was just like Jack White kind of brought back blues To blues to rock music, I think fucking Atmosphere brought blues back to hip hop. Or well,
I agree with that.
I mean, because it was never really prominent in hip hop. Blues wasn't really. Unlike with rock music, I mean, blues rock was a thing. That's where rock music kind of grew out of. But this kind of brought blues to it, especially with elements of blues like jazz. It's When Life Gives You Lemons. That album, they had an actual band perform for that, and I just love the fucking sound of it. Actually, it's one of my favorite albums. One of my favorite hip hop albums of all time is When Life Gives You Lemons, Paint That Shit Gold.
Yeah,
but
my favorite Atmosphere album would be Seven's Travels.
Seven's Travels is great. God Loves Ugly is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
But there's just so many. Sometimes it feels like some hip hop artists could experiment more musically, but they're afraid of being negatively critiqued for exploring.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So they kind of stick within a certain wheelhouse. Whereas Atmosphere, there's no fear there at all, man. They just do whatever they feel like, man.
Yeah.
And
very true.
Like Wild Wild Horses on When Life Gives You Lemons is an example of that, man. It's fucking. It sounds like something you'd hear in a porno. It's got fucking like this smooth fucking guitar in it, and this like. Oh man, it's just.
Right now, I got a visual
wicked,
of you like with your eyes closed, pouring in the background, just like you're just jamming out your head bob. Oh
yeah.
Man,
I watch porn for the music.
A mellow groove.
That was one mellow groove there.
Get the fuck out of here.
I don't own any jazz albums, but I do know how to find you porn.
Right? That was a mellow groove.
Oh man. But man, there's just like I view Atmosphere almost the same way I view the Beatles. They're not for everybody, though they fucking should be. It's kind of one of those things. Is like you don't if you really like them a lot, you don't understand how other people don't. And if you don't like them, you're just like they're fucking overrated. It's kind of like that. No one just casually likes Atmosphere.
Oh yeah, you're passionately for them, or you're just like, that sucks.
Yeah.
But I will say one of the things about Slug that I appreciate, he is an artist that truly bears his heart. I mean, he puts it all out there. He puts his life on the lines and writes it out, and he will tell you about. I mean, the Lucy album, Lucy Ford, was it Lucy Ford?
Lucy Ford, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the whole album was about a breakup, man, and that was his way of coping with a breakup. No, who does that in hip hop? Nobody, and I commend him for it. I mean, it's not my favorite album. I don't listen to it on the regular. I prefer God Loves Ugly, or like I said, Seven Travels. But the fact that he was willing to do that was a remarkable thing, because most MCs stand behind this facade of just I'm a warrior, I'm tough, I'm gonna shoot you, I'm a gangster, whatever.
Yeah.
The toughest guy in the room. They never smile, and this guy is like showing every emotion that he has, and you got to appreciate that. And you have to appreciate that. Even if you don't like the music, you have to respect the art. And you have to appreciate the effort that he put in and the emotion that he gave to the record.
Well, yeah, I think it made it. Atmosphere was very easy for me to like, just because that was That's what like me and my brother, we learned from our dad about what a man is real men cry, you know.
If you're not, listen, I hate that shit. If you're not crying, you're not alive.
Yeah,
okay?
exactly.
You're dead inside. If you're not crying, you're dead, son.
Yeah, you know, and that's why it's like, even if Slug is faking all of this, he's still the most. Even if he's faking it, he's more genuine than most of the fucking people out there. You know, and that says a lot. You know, he could be faking this shit, and it would still be more genuine than 90% of what's out there. And that's fucking
scary.
This is, well, yeah, a little bit. But
I don't know if any other genre of music though puts so much emphasis on being true to self. I mean, nobody says to a country. Nobody goes up to Blake Shelton and says, "I don't think you're really country." You know what I'm saying? I don't think anybody does that in any other genre.
Yeah,
Nobody goes.
No one gets judged on how rock and roll they are or anything like that. You know,
man. When it comes to hip, you better be telling everything the truth, or you're an asshole.
Yeah. There's
because it leaves no room for imagination. You know.
Yeah. Well, you know, think of what hip hop is a response to. It's a response to fucking, like, we're sick of this whitewashed disco bullshit that's saturating the market, and just all it's leading to is a population of numb, mindless people. So it's like, you know, at first it started with a loud noise. You know, it wasn't the origin of hip hop wasn't something that was really deep, but it was a loud noise just so people would fucking start paying attention.
Right. And
then once everyone was paying attention, it's like, now that I have your attention, here's what I have to say, and that's kind of that's kind of cycled through, similar to how other music does. It's cyclical. But I think we had a good 10 years of people yelling and shit, and making noises, you know, through the 2000s, you know. But in the past, I guess toward the later end of that decade and on, it's been getting a little more of people fucking saying what they have to say a little more, you know.
Yeah, lyrics have definitely started to make their way back to the forefront.
Yeah,
as far as hip hop goes, people are starting to. For a while there, the cool thing to say was, "Oh man, I don't give a shit about my lyrics." Like, for a while there, that was the cool shit to say.
I'm like, what?
And how sad is that?
Yeah,
like, that's your job.
It's like, no, that's what you do. Basically,
yeah.
you make rhythmic noises then over someone's awesome production. There's almost no point in listening to their music unless you're listening to it for the production on it at that point.
Yeah. So I you know, like, Kendrick Lamar is somebody you know, we've talked about briefly. Not somebody that I listen to. I don't like him too much, but I appreciate the fact that he's putting effort in, and he's challenging other people. He's saying, like, listen, I'm going to do this for real. This is my livelihood. I'm going for the throat. And if you're not, then what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
And that's what hip hop is, man.
Yeah. I like what he's trying to do there with that, you know? And
there's no, if you aren't, especially in hip hop, if you are not going out there thinking you're the best or trying to prove that you're the best, what the fuck are you doing? If you're not trying to say something, what are you doing? And a lot of these people, that's what I question, what are they doing? Because they're not doing anything.
Yeah.
You know, you have an opportunity to say something, and this is what you're gonna choose to talk about. You know? Well, all right then.
Yeah, it's I don't know, man. Like, if I don't mind it if that's the best they can do. You know, when that's the best they can do, and that's what they're, you know, like, that's what they're good at, that's their fucking thing, I'm like, right on, good for you, man. I guess do you. But
Right.
when you can tell that they're just not even trying, it's
Well,
like,
what's
why
the
are you
name
why
of
are
the
you
song?
being deliberately mediocre? You know?
Waka Flocka Flame. This dude
Yeah.
was valedictorian of his high school
Yeah.
and offered full scholarships to all these colleges, and this guy is going out and he's just talking about going hard in the paint. That's it? For real? That's what you're bringing me?
Waka flocka waka yeah. Seriously, that is a Waka Flocka Flame lyric there. Waka flocka waka yeah. Like that's it's baby talk. It's fucking it's garbage.
And that's not to say that, I mean, listen, if that's your music, that's what you choose to do, then do it, man. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying, I would never in my life present myself to be anything less than my best. Ever. No matter what I'm doing. Why would you not want to put your best foot forward? I don't understand it. You know, it's like going to a great hall and everybody's gonna hear you read, and you get up there and you do some Dr. Seuss shit. You know, they're
Yeah.
like, oh, he's one of the greatest of our time, and you get up there like one fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish. You know, like seriously, man.
No,
You're gonna-
Al Sharpton does that all the time, dude. Actually,
Yeah,
Al
he does.
Sharpton is the Black Dr. Seuss. Yeah.
Yeah, don't even get me started on sharks.
But it's like, it's just kind of ridiculous though. Like, oh fuck.
I agree,
Like,
but it's changed. Like it's
You know,
getting better.
so you get some people like, like you get Andre from Outkast. You know, like he's two more quirky moves away from changing his name to a melody. You know, it's like, no, I should not be called ah.
He's gonna be
you know?
like Prince, and he's gonna have a symbol, and
No. There will be no visual representation of his name. It will simply be a
Yeah.
melody that you have to sing. Ah, and that'll be his new name. But
Okay.
even the weird shit that he's been doing lately, I'm strangely okay with.
Have you heard the new Kid Cudi album, the punk album that he tried making?
Oh no, I haven't. You know, and he's one that like when he first came out, I was impressed. I thought it was, you know, like like the Crookers remix of Day and Night was like, that was my jam for like a couple of months there.
And-
But you know, after it just kind of got it got a little bit, it felt gimmicky a little bit after
That album, the Man on the Moon album, his first album, I can honestly say got me through one of the hardest periods of my life. I put it on first thing when I would go to work at 3:30 in the morning in the middle of winter, and I'm freezing my butt off, and I would put that on and I would listen to it, start my day out that way every day. I love that album, and I always will. But he's one of those artists that it's like every time he puts something new out, you're just like, oh man, why didn't you just make more music like you used to make?
Yeah, I know. It's just kind of like,
He tried
that
so
first
hard.
album. The first album was great, and yeah, after that, it felt like he wasn't progressing with anything. It felt like that first album was almost like a trick or a lie, you know?
Well, you know, you work with artists all the time. That first album is always the songs that artist has written their whole life.
Yeah,
I mean, they could have those songs they've been perfecting since they were 8 years old.
yeah,
You know, and they're just waiting to record them. So you're always going to get the best work on the first album. Always.
yeah.
And-
And on the follow up is usually something where, you know, if it's not handled very carefully, and I've learned this through fucking experience, if you don't handle that shit carefully, you're gonna end up with something that's a flop, you know. And then that's when you gotta fucking get serious, so that follow up, that third release is you gotta go back to what you did with the first one. You know, you gotta get back to that shit, and you want to take even more time on it and shit. And Kid Cudi didn't fucking do that.
Well, his second album, too, he was, I mean, admittedly, he was all doped up. He was on coke and just doing crazy experimental music. So,
yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. It's worth the reason I asked is because Andre 3000 is a huge fan of this new Kid Cudi album, which is it's a rock album. It's not a hip hop album at all.
I bet it's great, actually.
Yeah, you should check it out, man.
I'll have to look that up. Yeah, man. I've been. I think my outlook on life changed a lot when I started listening to stuff like Atmosphere and shit like that. Just because it was. You find music that's actually is easy to identify with, you know, and that's a strange feeling to not feel like you're limited to the circle of people you know in terms of where you can find an identity, you know.
If you can find an artist that knows how to express your thoughts
better than you can sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
If you can find that, I mean, that's a godsend, and that is the gift of music, you know. Of course, we all have our music that we listen to when we just want to dumb out or, you know, party or whatever. But like when you find music that person, you know that you're pretty much soulmates with that person. Like you are like on the same wavelength. You've gone through the same stuff. You've encountered the same experiences. That's a blessing because it's such a release. You know, it does so much for you.
Oh shit! Fucking lighter.
Well, that's about the end of the show, right?
That's about where we're at. Fucking closing statements for the show that would have been our last one of the year, but now it's our first one of this year.
Yeah, Happy New Year. And I'm sorry for the delay. We're gonna crank them out though from now on.
Yeah, my podcasting schedule at this point is I'm trying to get it so that I've got a different show every week, so that every show ends up at least once a month, and and if it's so that way you can expect it once a month, and if you get it more than that, then good for you, you know.
All right.
Good for you. You guys will get more if we do more, but you'll get at least once a month from us if we get our job done right, I guess, on this. But yeah, thanks to everybody subscribing on iTunes. If you're not subscribed to iTunes, go ahead and I don't know where you're listening right now, probably SoundCloud. Fucking look over to your right. To the right of the screen, there's a little button that says iTunes there. Click on that and subscribe, fuckers. Get your podcasts as they come. You don't have to fucking look for them anymore. They'll come to you. Also, you know, podcasting fucking costs money, and someone's got to fucking, someone's got to fucking pay the bills. So I gotta say, give us money. Give us some money. Become a patron, even if it's only $1 or $2 a month. Higher, the more you get, the more creative I'll get with rewards. So, but at the base level, man, give us like $5 a month just for the fucking, just to say thank you for fucking providing a podcast that you guys like to listen to. So go ahead and check that out. And as always, head on over to dirtysprocket.com for all of your new content needs. These guys are cranking shit out like crazy, and of course, that's where you'll find our podcast. So dirtysprocket.com is always going to be a good place for you to go.
And we will have we're working on a Facebook page for this podcast specifically.
Yep. Seeing as this one's so popular.
In a couple weeks we should probably have that going, and it'll have content, pictures, playlists, and everything that we decide to put on there randomly at our discretion.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
All right.
And
I'm John Espinoza.
I'm Jerry
and,
Wemhoff.
Thank you for listening.
Catch you guys later, man.
Dirty Sprocket Podcast.